be in the next 24, 48 hours or so, Sam, and say, told you, we're short? Or did that have nothing to do with a lack of summer recruits?
He could well say that in his defence, but you know, Woodward could turn around and say, "But what's your training like? Having a team playing like that for Man United?" So it's got to be your responsibility. You've got to shoulder responsibility as a manager for that performance, because you're the manager, and you've got to do whatever it takes to sort that out immediately by the next game, and not to see that type of performance for the rest of this season, because that's far. You can lose a game of football anytime. Even Manchester United, even Man City can lose a game of football anytime, but you can't lose a game of football like that, where Brighton have outplayed you, had more shots, more chances, more crosses, more action in the final third. I think Andy were telling me that before they scored, they barely had one shot on target, and that was the goal. And this is Manchester United. We talked about playing Brighton, who just stayed up last season by the skin of the teeth, and it is, you know, I've got a lot of mates who are Man United fans, and they will be, you know, devastated by what they've seen today.
Are they fed up with him now?
They're not happy with the style of football, you know, and it's like everything else. If Man United are winning, and it's with the style of football that they're not quite used to, and they're winning, all fans will go along with it. But at the moment they're not winning, they're not challenging, they're not going to challenge for the. Having seen that, you know, could we honestly see him challenging for the title this year?
What about top four?
Well, it might even be that. I mean, I think there's a new manager at Arsenal, there's a new manager at Chelsea, so that might help them to finish in the top four. But he's got to sort his own house out.
Yeah, he has.
At the minute, he has to sort his own house out, and he has to look at it himself and look at his staff, and you know, he'll go home tonight. He'll be bitterly disappointed and extremely worried about how to put it right, because that's what you do as a manager. He'll be the man losing more sleep than anybody else, believe you me.
We will come back to it with one game to come from match day 2. Brighton's win today lifts them virtually halfway. City went top after thumping Huddersfield earlier. They slipped bottom on goal difference. Manchester United down on the weekend into 10th. See City's goals shortly. Also show you what happened at Turf Moor, where Watford beat. Next for Manchester United, because what we saw today is not good enough, is it?
You know, I think my United fans are just sitting here thinking about what's happened the last few years. Not just what's happening now, but 3 years ago, two of the best managers in world football turned up in Manchester, right, to manage the two giants of Manchester. 3 years ago now, right? One picked up Man City, who finished 4th with 66 points. One picked up Manchester United, who finished 5th with 66 points. Now you look at the journey both have made since then. City have gone that way by some distance, and United have, well, stood still. Would that be fair?
Well, he finished 2nd last year. He's won 2 trophies, so you'd have to concede that he's made progress.
Do you think progress?
Well, it's the recruitment policy of every manager is critical, and the recruitment policy of Manchester City, by a long way, was far better and far more outstanding than Manchester United's. So who is in charge of the recruitment of Manchester United, and who's in charge of recruitment at Manchester City? And the manager's not totally in charge at either of those clubs now, as we well know. So, so you have an input on your players. Jose will have an input on his players, and the club are supposed to go out and get them for you. Same with Manchester City. Pep has an input on what players he's looking at and what he wants, and Manchester City.
Don't you think Guardiola's getting exactly what he wants?
I think after the first year, yes, I think he went to them and said, if you want me to succeed, you need to spend really, really big. Yeah. And Manchester City's recruitment gave him the opportunity of these players, and he went, yeah, I like him, I like him, I like him, go and get him, go and get him. He won't recruit. He won't have had all the knowledge on. He will have had the knowledge on some of them, particularly from
Mourinho
Spain.
Pointedly,
you know what I mean?
After the first game, said, "I'm just a head coach now." You know, you can't call me a manager anymore. What message is he trying to give us that he's not getting what
that was the poke at the board, wasn't it? By saying he's not in charge of, because I didn't get what I wanted, so I'm just a coach now, and you're the ones in charge from recruitment policies because you haven't got me the players I wanted. You know, I'm no doubt that they tried, but yet again they might well have said, because of their spending, they might well have said, well, Jose, we've got this wage bill that's, you know, 250 million or something like that, 300 million. We've spent 350 million with you, and some of these players we need to get out to get some money back in to help the way forward for the next group of players you want. Let
me ask you something, right? You know him better than we do, probably, Mourinho. Right, something that's been levelled at him over his years is that whereas Guardiola seems happy to get young, talented players in and make them better, the criticism of Josie has been that he doesn't embrace young players in that way, and he would rather buy the finished article, like a Sanchez, like a Matic, like a Lukaku, right? Rather than pick up a Sané or a Raheem Sterling or a Kevin De Bruyne and make them better. Is that a Stones? Is that a fair criticism of Josie?
It is a fair criticism. It is definitely a fair criticism, but you know, at the end of the day, Jose wants to be instantly successful and bring the title back to Manchester United, and the only way to do that instantly is to do it with more experienced players in around 25 or upwards, and in the peak. And then you look at the younger side after that. You know, what's happened to Manchester United's great academy? Yeah, you know, I mean, what would Sir Alex done without those top talented young players that came through then, and he added to them with some outstanding players? You know, I think, is it Tomney? McTominay. It's the only one we're seeing coming through at the moment, you know, and you know, so there's lots of problems at Man United, and it was foreseen for us all when Sir Alex left. You know, we all said you don't have to be experienced like me. We all said they're going to struggle for a while, and that's exactly what's happened.
Sorry, Andy, Jose's come out. I'm delighted to say we'll talk on in just a moment after we've heard from the Manchester United head coach. His team, Jose Mourinho, simply going through the motions. Should we consider, by the way, it's 401 million he spent, 401 million. Should we consider the possibility that the players he wanted didn't want to work for him? Example, Toni Kroos, having worked with Van Gaal at Bayern Munich, did not want to sign for Manchester United when the manager had left the German club to go to Old Trafford. He'd had that experience and didn't want to replicate it. Is there a possibility that Ed Woodward tried and failed because some don't want to work with him?
Maybe. I don't know. Maybe, yes. I guess so. It's a possibility. But you're turning down the chance to play for one of the greatest club sides in world football. And, you know, who knows how long Josie's going to be there.
How long can Manchester United trade on that?
Well, quite a while still.
Really?
Yeah, well, of course they can. Well, they're always going to be one of the best supported clubs in the world.
That doesn't make them one of the best.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. Listen, they had a manager in there for the best part of 30 years who built the club up to what it became. And a bit like Arsenal might find that when you lose somebody like that, it's not easy just, and it's not seamless just to replace him, and it's not going to work again. Now, they've tried, what, three managers since Alex?
Yeah.
In a short space of time. And Josie's been given 3 years and 400 million. Now, I don't know, Dennis, but if I gave you 400 million 3 years ago to make Manchester United better than this, do you think you could have?
I think I'd like to think I could, yes. And the thing about it is, you know, you look at some of the personnel, you know, today, you look at Fred, and I think Fred has struggled today, really struggled, and they paid an awful lot of money. Now, was he Mourinho's first choice? Was he the recruitment's choice? You know, so there's so many of these that you could actually look at.
I cannot imagine any player joining Manchester United that Jose Mourinho hasn't said he wanted. I just can't imagine that.
No, neither can I. But I'm just saying, you can't.
It might not be number one that he wanted, though. It might be number two or three, doesn't it? Like I mean, but not. It shouldn't happen at Manchester United, should it? If they want to be great again, I mean, it shouldn't. You know.
I don't think. I think. Look, today, what was it today? It was their desire to press, the desire as a team to work hard. How did they win the game today, Brighton?
Okay, he said they made mistakes. Give me the name of one Manchester United player that played well.
Luke Shaw.
That's it, right? Yeah, that's it.
That's it.
That's it.
That's for me.
So they didn't lose by making mistakes.
They lost by
simply
they
by
lost
making mistakes.
No, they lost because today Brighton were better than them in many different areas. Right? They were in pressing, in desire, with the ball. I think you look at some of the amount, you probably go through it and see the stats on how many times they give sloppy balls away at time. Some of Pogba's passes. You know, he cost an awful lot of money. You cannot account for somebody as a manager how they actually perform on the pitch. And I know managers take a lot of stick. And, you know, Jose's trying to obviously stick up for them, but also the responsibility has to be with the players as well. You know, I look at some of the players that have played for Man United, and I look at some of these today. You look at Brian Robson, you look at Paul Scholes, you look at Giggs, you look at, you know, and you start to go, wow. You know, at the moment, there's not much of a wow factor for me in that group of players that he's got that are going to make this team fantastic. And today, I looked at this and I think to myself, do you know what? There is a massive gap now.
Yeah, there is.
Between Man City and Man United, because he's got and brought in Pep, and his recruitment in the age is very young. If you start to look at some of them boys that are sitting there, that played today and was involved, and you look at the age group, they are young. And they're coming through.
Sorry, Dennis. Manchester City's have, for many years now, because a lot of my staff that was at Bolton weren't there in recruitment, and for many years they have built this policy of how they go about buying the players and how the club is going to develop by the owners. So not only on the recruitment side, but the overall development of Manchester City, where they go and buy other clubs across the world and communicate with each other and see what's best going on. The academy, they've spent more money on the academy than anybody else. So their policies have been longer in progress than Manchester United's, because Manchester United, had Sir Alex left, Moisey came in. What was that policy? Because Man City's policy was just like what Jose's doing. When Mancini came in, buy a team to win the league, I need to win the league to keep my job. And that's what Man City want. Yeah. So that happened with him and Pellegrini, and then the impact of what Manchester City was doing started to take over, and in flooded came these younger players like Sané, Jesus and all those that he's got, like you mean. So Manchester United are in transition because they've had three managers with different policies in how they want to recruit. Moyes' trouble was that he didn't have a recruitment policy as such, because David Gill had left and he didn't know what he could get or what he couldn't get, and only ended up with who he knew, which was Marion Fellaini in the end of the year. And then at the end of January ended up with Mata, and that was the only two signings that Moyes did. And then when the next manager came in, he probably got rid of about Louis van Gaal probably got rid of about 10 players at Manchester United and recruited another 11. But was that 11 better than the 10 he got rid of? And the answer to that wasn't really. So then that became another problem. Jose comes in then. Louis van Gaal wins the FA Cup. He doesn't keep his job. Jose comes in then and goes like, there's a bit more of a job on here. And now there's another recruitment policy. And that's where I think Manchester United's deep problem really lies, on the infrastructure behind being built, and whoever manager comes in, they continue down the right route like Man City's done, and I think like Liverpool have done, and that's why Liverpool have started to buy really good players.
I would argue that I hear it's 744 million they've spent since Alex Ferguson left. 744 million. Surely, I hear what you're saying, but the infrastructure behind the first team shouldn't be affected, should it? Well,
it shouldn't be, no.
Deja vu. Jose's come back out, having, I thought, rudely dismissed Gary Brown. He's been talking with other broadcasters. It's clutching at straws. You're blaming the ref for blowing up with the ball in the air that you wanted to drop and maybe pick seconds and bits and pieces.
Diversify the reporter for stopping
Manchester United.
Questions.
I know.
Do you
know what? There's one thing. We're just talking about. I know what. I hope we're not being too critical of United because we're only 2 games into the season. I hope not. I don't think we are, because what we saw today wasn't good enough, right? But there's an example here of what we've seen today. We saw Manchester City play a team similar to Brighton, Huddersfield.
Yes.
That'd be fair?
Yes.
Right? They have 32 attempts at goal, 14 on target. 32. Manchester United, 9 attempts at goal, 3 on target. 3.
One was a pen.
One was a penalty. Come on,
all,
I don't care what you say about them and whatever. That cannot be accepted if you're Manchester United. It really can't.
And I'll ask you something, and it's interesting to see the Man City side and the Man United side, right? So you look at the Man United side today, how many of them
None.
would you put in the Man City team?
It's a very, very sharp answer.
None. Maybe the goalie. You'd argue the goalie.
But that says it,
That's
really,
it.
doesn't it?
That's it.
Yeah.
By a distance, by the way, Dennis, by some distance.
And
How many,
that's
would get,
what they
many
got
Man
to
United players would get in the Liverpool side right now?
Whew.
I bet not many.
The goalie.
Yeah. But we haven't seen Alisson. He might prove to be a brilliant goalie.
Yeah, we're not seeing enough.
There'll have to be some goalie to be better than.
Yeah.
To better than.
But that's what I'm saying. 400 million down the line. Surely Manchester United, I get Manchester United fans' frustration because it's compounded by what's happening across the road.
Has Mourinho taken Manchester United forward?
I don't think so. He took over a team that just won the FA Cup, yeah, with Van Gaal.
Yes.
Didn't he?
Yeah.
Yes.
Right, took over a team that won the FA Cup. So he won the FA Cup and the League Cup?
He won
Yeah, but he's
Europa
more-
League.
Yeah.
Europa League.
Europa League.
League
Europa
Cup.
League.
League Cup, yeah.
Has he taken them
Got them
closer?
back into Champions League.
Yeah, closer
Finished
to the
second.
title.
Finished
No.
second.
No, but they're a mile away last year. They're
Yeah,
a
but
mile
they're
away.
still finished
Do you,
second.
do you see them being second this year on what we've seen in 2 weeks?
No, but he's arguing by saying the fact that he was there were how many points behind Manchester City?
19. 19.
19. So he's gone to the board and said, "I need a lot of players." Manchester United have said, "Well, we haven't got a lot of money."
But Sam, Liverpool were
It's
19
that simple.
points behind them as well.
Yeah, but Liverpool have spent another 170 million on
but they
4
hadn't
players.
spent the money
They spent
for
another
400 million.
spent a 75 million on one centre half. You know what I mean?
Really not sure that we shouldn't be considering the possibilities. Some players now don't want to play for Jose Mourinho. His brand of football, if you're a footballer, is not enjoyable, is it?